Welcome to a brand new year of Out of Touch, featuring yours truly, John Alden, Mitchell Page, and normally Dustin Schutte. No, Dustin Schutte potentially on today's show. He may stop by later on, depending on his availability. But we are brought to you by the Kings of Concrete, the Concrete Kings. What is this, Mitchell? What is this new endeavor that you've got going on?
Yeah, we're the Concrete Masters. You were close.
Masters.
But last Friday launched a new business endeavor. Got a couple partners on it and servicing Indianapolis and the surrounding areas, doing patios, walkways, driveways. And it was a long day today. Had some couple appointments back to back. So we're filling up. I'm pretty excited about it. Hopefully one day quit the day job and be my own boss.
I was going to say, I was going to ask if you had quit your other job and you've just gone full send with this concrete company, or if you're doing both, but I think you just answered that for me.
Yeah, got to do both. Need a little stability with the new baby, but we definitely had more appointments in the first week since Friday than I was expecting. So hopefully can move along pretty fast. And if any listeners need or know someone that does, message me on Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is. We're out and about, so we'd love to help you guys.
Also, I like that girl dad hoodie you've got on. Is that looks like Barstool logo on the side too? So you must have gotten it from Barstool.
I did. This is a gift from my wife.
Okay. Shout out Laura Page.
Yeah, she had it. It was supposed to be here the day she was born, but you know how shipping goes. So it was a couple days late, but it's my favorite hoodie now.
Yeah. Normally I don't do this at the very beginning of the show, but this is one thing I'm about ready to get into. I'm going to hit the hotline real quick. This is technically a phone call from my other show, our sister show, if you will, or brother show. Why do people always assume that inanimate objects that are related to each other are sisters? Like people say it's a sister station or a sister company, whatever it may be, or I guess sometimes it's referred to as a parent company. Well, These are sibling shows, Out of Touch and In Touch with Indiana sports. But we had so I've been utilizing the same hotline for that show, and the very last part of a call that I received earlier this week was a question that I guess they wanted my opinion on, but it had to do with you, so I couldn't really give them the best answer. So I'm going to go ahead and refer to you on this one, Mitchell. This is from our man Justin Beard, and this is the last portion of the call that he sent me on In Touch with Indiana Sports the other day.
When, and I'm saying when, not if, when Kurt Signetti wins the Big Ten in football, will Mitchell Page be leading the parade, and what kind of garb will he be wearing? Will he be wearing a cheerleader costume, et cetera, et cetera? All right, buddy. Appreciate you. Bye-bye.
I think it's I appreciate him saying that I'd be wearing any clothes at all, because there's a decent chance I'd be leading from the front. No clothes necessary. I talk about this with Laura all the time, that it's just been so long since I've been happy with the sports. Like every season ends in sadness, and it's been like that for 25 years. I would cry like the biggest baby there. I would cry for weeks. And then I don't think I would make it to the parade because I would just evaporate. I would just go evaporate, cease to exist of happiness, just off into the heavens.
Your life would be complete at that point.
That's it. That's all I cannot imagine that reality for myself. I really can't, which is sad, but that's real. I cannot.
It really does seem like something that should be out of reach forever for Indiana football, which it is sad to say that.
It wasn't in 2020. But then they snatched it from us.
That's true.
But it also didn't feel like,
it would have felt unearned in a way.
Unearned, but and it just mostly wouldn't have felt like there's 12 games. You have to win some serious down the stretch games away from your home stadium a lot of times that really matter. It would have felt not the same to me, I think. So I don't know. To answer the question, probably nothing. I would be leading the parade, whether invited or not, in nothing.
Neutral Page, they'd be calling you.
Yes,
I don't even know if that's funny. When are you gonna do your Mitchell Page takeover of the Out of Touch podcast?
Yeah, I was talking with the guys I work with, not at Concrete Masters at my normal job, that I finally feel like I'm floating again, as opposed to drowning. So this has been the first week that my head isn't spinning and I've been able to think straight. So I'm thinking maybe next week
Okay.
I'd be ready to rock.
And I was going to ask you too, and you kind of were getting into, I guess we're transitioning into it now, but all the transitions that you're kind of dealing with at once. You have this new job. Obviously, you're now, what, nearly 2 months into having a baby. And I'm sure it's one of those things that if you don't take care of yourself, you do feel like you're drowning. And I guess it's good news to hear that you're back above, your head's above water finally.
Yeah. My wife just got cleared to start working out again, which is a big milestone for us.
Nice.
So she went on her first run this afternoon. You're exactly right. You kind of lose yourself in the first couple of weeks that a new son or daughter is here. And it takes some time to remember that you have needs too, that you have to attend to. And whether it's sleep or exercise or what you eat, it can get away from you pretty quick. And luckily we've got the reins on it a little bit here, but it's nice to be able to think straight for the first time in a bunch of weeks.
Well, good. I'm happy for you, and happy August 7th to you if you're somebody who celebrates August 7th. I said that this morning on the other show as well, and maybe August 7th happens to be special to you for whatever reason. It's not special to me, but there's got to be somebody out there who has a birthday today.
I was going to say happy birthday on August 7th, or I guess it'll be August 8th when this comes out. Happy birthday.
True. Damn it.
Happy birthday to you, listener, whose birthday is today, celebrating 29 years young.
Man. I saw this right before I logged on here, Mitchell. And do you ever see, I feel like this is something that everybody talked about at one point or another when they were in school. I think it might have been the elementary age, maybe a little bit higher. I'm not too sure. But do you remember talking about the running of the bull and, I guess how insane that actually is and how dangerous, I guess it is too?
I've had 3 separate people that I know that have done that.
Really?
Spain.
Like over in Spain, right? Is that where it takes place?
I don't know what city, but 2 of them were in Spain for study abroad, and they ran with the bulls. And one guy lives there now. I was in a couple classes with him in college. He's been working in international business there for like 7 years. He just married a woman from Spain, and he runs at least every other year, maybe more often than that. It's kind of psycho.
So there's a video. I'm worried that it might have gotten taken down because I'm trying to pull it up on my other monitor here. But there's a video. I don't know if it's from the exact running of the bulls, but it's a dude who I guess is taunting him. He had jumped over the fence, and this bull had just had enough, and he took this dude down. I don't know if he died. He didn't look like he was dead in the video, but because it was so gruesome, I'm assuming that's potentially why
we probably shouldn't play it on this show.
Taken down. Do what?
We probably shouldn't play it on this show if there's potential that he's no longer with us.
Well, and I don't think it was. First of all, I wasn't planning on playing it. I was just wanting to look at it while I was talking about it to make sure that what I was referring to was correct or like made sense. But
I know that does happen often. I don't know if they treat the bulls as badly as they do in like bullfighting, where you stab them in particular like pressure points, and that's what sets them off and makes them so angry. I don't know if they're doing those same kinds of things before they unleash the bulls in the streets. But imagine if somebody was trying to get you all aggressive and you saw that guy after you'd been running for a mile straight trying to chase him down, and you have big horns on your head. You're probably going to be pretty mad about it too.
Yeah, I don't get why people submit themselves to that type of stuff. I have a friend, or it's really two people. The husband in this friendship that my wife and I have with them, the man, his name's Steven. He lives for danger. He doesn't enjoy certain things if they aren't dangerous enough. And so, for example, this is the couple we went down to Disney with, and
very dangerous.
He would constantly comment about like, why are people screaming on these rides? There's no real danger there. and whether it be, you know, like the Tower of Terror or, you know, Expedition Everest, one of the more intense like roller coasters or whatever, he would sit there and he said he would assume that there was no reason for anybody to be screaming because there's no true danger. And while I do agree that there is no true danger, I do feel like a lot of the screaming in that sense is more screaming of enjoyment. And I guess maybe small children might be scared, but I just think it's funny how certain people, and shout out to Steven and Valerie if you happen to be listening to this episode.
I have a message for Steven.
Go ahead.
I'm picturing Steven as straight face on the roller coaster the entire time. Like
he is. Smiling. He is one of those guys.
Those guys in serial killers, same guys. Like you see somebody that's straight face on a roller coaster the entire time, just with the amount of G-force, how fast you're going. If you can't smile or like think you're having a good time on something like that, or a terrible time, you have to feel some kind of emotion, good or bad. For you to just be neutral the entire time, you got something going on in your mind. And I don't care how big of a thrill seeker you are, you're still flying down a roller coaster at 50, 60, 80 miles an hour. There's some element of danger. You're only a couple bolts away from that thing flinging you into the sky.
You ever seen Final Destination 3? And I'll go and say this. I hate any of those kinds of movies. I don't care how unrealistic they are, but Final Destination 1 is something that, and again, I've seen the iconic like plane explosion scene or whatever, but that is something that feeds into my fear of flying, getting on an airplane. So I don't have anything to do with that type of stuff.
Have you ever been overwhelmed? You don't really like to fly, right?
I haven't been on an airplane in over 10 years. I don't remember the last time I got on a plane, but it's been a long time.
Okay. We've definitely talked about this because I had flown so many times that it was no problem to me. I'd get on the plane. It was whatever. But recently I had to fly to New York. And for whatever reason, when I was on the plane in Indianapolis, I was kind of overcome like with this anxiety.
Gonna happen.
Yeah. I was really uncomfortable and I was in the row by myself. So it wasn't like I was in the middle and I was just getting claustrophobic or anything. I just had this overwhelming, almost like black cloud over me. It was very strange. It was the first time it's ever happened to me. Obviously we landed, everything was fine. There was not even an ounce of turbulence even, but I understand when people say they're scared of flying. If that happens to you every time, I would never get on an airplane ever again.
And I'm trying to remember like the most recent time that I was a minor at the time. I probably was maybe 13 or 14 years old. Shout out to my dog Lily barking in the background, by the way. I don't know if that's coming through, but she is doing that now. But the most anxious parts for me, if my memory serves correct, getting on the plane, just, you know, the lead up to just beginning the flight, that's stressful enough.
Like on the tarmac or actually getting your bag?
The whole process of walking, really from the moment that I began making my way to the airport and the entire process of getting through TSA, baggage, whatever, all that stuff. And then finally getting to the terminal and then walking onto the plane, getting taxied out to your runway. And then once I think the first time I ever actually feel comfortable is when you've reached, I think it's like your maximum height. I don't even know, like cruising altitude, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, right.
That's the first time I ever can kind of relax and be like, okay, things should be normal for at least the next, I don't know. I've only ever been to Orlando on a plane back and forth because that's where my dad lived. And that was the reason that I would fly to begin with. So I only know 2-hour flights. But the time where you take off and then the time where you land, and landing not so much, because at that point it's like, okay, well, I pretty much made it. I don't really have much to worry about, even though I do think that they're supposed to be like the landing the plane, I think, is supposed to be the most difficult part for pilots. For some reason, that part isn't as anxiety driven as the takeoff for me. Maybe it's because of the Final Destination explosion happens on takeoff. Maybe that has something to do with it.
I totally agree with what you're saying. I think
Okay.
as you
At least
get
we're on the same
closer,
page here.
yeah, you get closer to the ground. It's like, okay, well, if I jump out, I'll have a chance. I think that it may be something like as the closer you get to the ground, there's an escape if something does happen. Maybe.
Yeah.
Because if
Well,
you're at
and
like
here's the other
50,000
thing.
feet, that's
I think the other fear, like the other thing that drives the fear is me thinking, like, I don't think I would be like if something was actually happening where the plane was going down. I don't think I would be reacting. I would be terrified inside and probably maybe pass out. But one thing that scares me about something going wrong or like maybe the plane being taken over, those types of scenarios, is thinking about how the rest of the plane would react. Because if you've got people screaming and acting, I don't want to say out of their minds, because I mean, like, if you're scared, you're scared. You're going to have a natural reaction, whatever that is for you. It's up to the individual. But I would not be able to deal with people freaking out because again, that's not my way in dealing with it. I just want to be silent to myself, panicking, not, I don't know, breaking windows and pulling crap out of the, what do they call the storage area above where you're sitting, that type of stuff, just being insane, knocking people out. I don't know. I can't imagine what it would be like to be on a plane that was going down. And I didn't expect this episode to go in that direction. It is fun to talk about this and explore these thoughts because I do think, for those out there who are similar to me and, have that fear, it is fun to, not fun, but it's interesting to explore it, I guess, right?
Yeah. I guess for your buddy Steven, that would be peak.
Oh, and speaking, I almost forgot. If Steven or Valerie, if you're listening to this, if you happen to be, hit the hotline and do some explaining for yourself, or Valerie explain for Steven.
I would prefer Valerie explain from her perspective what it's like to look over and see him straight face as they go down a 80-degree incline at 70 miles per hour. I would appreciate what she thinks from her perspective.
That's right. And that number again is 502-830-9195. I thought I wasn't going to ask this question. Back to the plane stuff real quick, but I was listening to, this was more of a comedic question, at least from the people I was listening to this from. Maybe it won't be as funny with us, but what's the last thing you would do if you were on a plane? I don't, you can create your own scenario. Maybe you're with your wife, maybe you're with a friend or somebody, but the plane's going down. What are you doing? Like if that's it, like how are you spending your last 90 seconds?
That's so morbid.
Isn't it?
I don't know.
Because I don't know what I mean, I guess I kind of just laid out what I would do. I would just keep to myself and probably pray, that it's not painful. That's probably the number one thing that I would be doing, is just praying that it's as quick and done as possible.
I don't even know. I don't have an answer. I really don't.
I'm going to share just for a little. I'll share what I heard. So again, I talk about Theo Von a bunch. At least I talk about enjoying that podcast a bunch. But Theo said if he was in that scenario, he thinks he would stand up on his seat and just open his asshole up for everybody to see. Just because
what in the world?
It is. I hate to say I would personally love to see that because I wouldn't. But I would. That's the type of behavior that would make it less. You can almost laugh your way to the end, right? If you saw somebody going.
It's really
going
hard,
that route with things.
Really hard to predict how someone would be in that scenario. And Franklin looks like he's about to.
Franklin's like, stop talking about this. Please.
He might be. Look at him back there.
He definitely looks like he is on high alert of some sort.
Yeah, we've had it's one of the neighbor's cats because it has a collar. But over the last couple days, I've seen her, I assume it's a pink collar, running around my yard. I don't know what she's doing. But this morning I left to go to work at whatever time, and she was scared the heck out of me, came out running from under the car, and I saw her again when I got back. So I don't know whose cat it is. If you live in the neighborhood, I have a cat for you. But do you have any pets that just run around? We used to let our cat run around the neighborhood when I was younger.
There is, so I've told the story before. This isn't what I'm getting into, but this is just, I guess, a prelude to what I'm going to say. But I told you the story about the neighbors who just let their dog go loose
Right.
while we were walking and that type of stuff. This
Yeah.
is not the same family, but there is a different house. I think they're a street, like they're closer to the entrance of the neighborhood, and their dog just gets out from the fence every now and again. It's not aggressive. It just leaves and walks around the neighborhood and then comes home. And we'll see it walk around, we'll go through our yard and go through the neighbors' yards and just kind of, I guess he's checking on things. I don't know.
Yeah, he's the neighborhood watch. He's just checking it out, making sure everything's good. I kind of like that. I wish Franklin would do that. I don't think Franklin would run away, but he would certainly make it hard to catch him. He would get just close enough to where he could see you, but you couldn't catch him. And I think we just do that for eternity if he were to get out of our fence.
Yeah, that would be
and he's way faster than me. Like way faster.
So is he scared of you though? Like if he saw that you were chasing him down, would he kind of realize, oh, this is my owner getting pissed?
No. That would excite him. He lives for the thrill. He's like Steven.
He's like Steven.
Seeker. He's a thrill seeker. The madder I am, the more fun he's having. Definitely. Definitely.
Oh, man.
In particular, in the morning when we're trying to leave and he's outside and he won't go inside. Yeah, he's having a blast when we are on a time schedule. We need to leave and he won't come inside. That's his favorite.
Have you, I know this is kind of an abrupt transition, but have you seen these potential prisons of the future where they take criminals and through artificial intelligence technology, we talk a little AI on the show every now and again, they put you in this kind of a little, I don't know if it's a box or like a little chamber, I guess is the best way to say it. And they put you up against something that's kind of like a virtual reality or augmented reality machine. And they put the prisoners through like whatever they did to their victims, they make them suffer the same thing. And I don't know if that's the way that it should go, but it's definitely, I guess, maybe a way that you could scare people straight. I don't know. How do you feel if that were to be something that is used in the future? We're diving into some weird stuff today. It's just one of those.
I have not heard about that. You can definitely understand the philosophy than the scared straight model. I don't know how effective scared straight really is, because are you actually teaching them or doing anything? But I mean, it would certainly be traumatizing in a lot of cases, depending on what it was.
I'm trying to find an explanation that.
Is this just for like violent criminals?
I would assume this is maybe like an alternative to the death penalty of some sort. That would be my guess. Because imagine being somebody who is a mass murderer. Not that you would want to imagine that, but think about somebody who is a mass murderer and their punishment, as opposed, instead of just, I guess, getting the lethal injection, is to go through the same fate as however many people that they killed. I don't even get how you could simulate that, getting killed.
Can you imagine if it was for low level crimes and like somebody got caught for smoking weed or something and they just had to get high all the time? I think the prisons that are already full, they would just get so much more full.
What a big waste of technology if that were the case.
To some, not to the guys that were in there. They would love it.
True. But to your tax dollars, maybe.
Yeah, right. It would be a very expensive way for people slinging dope to just get high all the time.
So this device that they put onto your head is called Cognify. And I'm trying to find a really good example that explains more in depth. Here we go. Here's something. So apparently this is all based on, what's this? Based on real science. Scientists have already successfully implanted false memories in mice and have learned how to change their fearful memories into happy ones. So I guess they're wanting to put you to sleep, and by the technology that I was talking about earlier, them making you relive what you did to your victim. I, I don't know. This is like some Saw stuff. Because if you've seen the Saw movies, have you seen any of the Saw movies first before I get into what it is?
I know what they're about. I don't watch that kind of stuff.
So, like, for those who've not seen any of them, I used to love the Saw franchise, by the way. I don't know if I've mentioned that before. I don't think I had the stomach for it anymore, though. Something about getting older and the blood and the guts, it just doesn't hit the same way.
It's too much.
But for those who haven't seen it, there's a guy who's, I can't even think of, he's just known as Jigsaw. I can't think of his actual human being's name in the movies, but he tortures people. Again, he takes criminals, similar to how this takes criminals, and makes them relive their crimes, and I guess whatever way, shape, or form that is. But he creates these contraptions, and basically, like, there's a way out. But normally it involves harming yourself in some way, or harming. Maybe there's two people involved. Maybe you have to kill the person who is across from you, and there's a big blade in between you. Again, it's very graphic and gross stuff, depending on what your level of being able to stomach that type of thing is. But it's also, I don't know, psychologically, it can tear you up, I guess is the best way to say, just like
Definitely.
this probably could.
Definitely. I'm more worried. I think it's an interesting concept. Why would they even want to change memories in the first place? That seems very Big Brother, control the population.
Yes. Yeah, and I don't know. I guess this, I feel like you could even go deeper and think, like, are people getting cloned and stuff like that? Honestly, I think even though I don't know to what extent, like, the danger of this would be, I firmly believe there's some sort of cloning going on somewhere. Maybe like in that Area 51 place that for some reason we're not allowed into. Remember, maybe it was 5 or 6 years ago, and there was a big Facebook group of people who
They're going to storm
go
it.
to Area 51. They were going to Naruto run into Area 51.
Yeah, I don't think that happened, but wasn't there there was evidence that the military, like, really stepped up their defenses because they had an established day and time that they were all going to do this. And I'm pretty sure the military upped their defenses for that time, and then no one came. But I know for a fact that we're cloning stuff because some of the products that we have at my normal job, ours don't, but they're stemmed from cells that are then cloned a bunch of times in a lab. So it's not like they're cloning the cows or something, or humans, but they're cloning cells to be replicated so you can manufacture more of these products.
And it makes you wonder, like, if they have the ability to do that type of stuff, and I don't want to dig too deep into the weeds because I hope that I don't live long enough to see, like, a war against the government, that type of thing.
Ignorance
But it
is
makes you feel like that down the road, if things got a little chippy between citizens and the elites, if you will, that they may be a little more prepared than we might realize to take us down with maybe even an unlimited supply of humans, or, animals, weapons, whatever it may be. But like I said, I don't want to live to see the day that may or may not happen.
Yeah. Technology is going fast, and there's so many people that can do so many amazing things just because technology has made it so easy to create. It's amazing how amazing so many different people are, people that you've never even heard of. Just the quality of work with artificial intelligence, design, software, the amount of stuff that these services can do, and they're designed by people with no name, which is pretty interesting. Like, they're just a person that designed this humongous CRM software for a magnificent company that can house thousands and thousands of clients and can do all the things that company can need. A lot of times it was built by one or two dudes in an office.
So that just to refresh memories a little bit, the Facebook group was called Storm Area 51. They can't stop all of us. Which, apparently, because they weren't able to actually get in, they ended up having a different event. They called it Alien Stock 2019, which I guess was everybody who attended or went to wherever Area 51 is, the town or whatever. They just set up a stage and had a concert.
I think that's a good pivot. That's a much safer pivot than trying to storm one of the most secret
That was the
bases
plan
that
all
we
along.
know about. Because that's another thing. Imagine all the stuff that we don't know about. That's what I like to think about.
So let's dig into that. You're talking about with Area 51 or with other things?
Just like they let us know about Area 51. Think about how much land.
Where's like Area 307?
Exactly. Like we just have no idea. We got no idea. So I love all that conspiracy. I'm not a big conspiracy that could really actually be that are like really truly harmful, but conspiracies like there's Area 307 or something, or thinking about that. Not that I necessarily believe them, but I like to talk about them and think about them. I think I've voiced that a bunch on this show.
Because that's the thing, like, because I'm with you. I don't dig into the weeds like some people do, but I just don't think people would make stuff like that up. And again, maybe I'm just a naive human being that would be gullible enough to just believe that could be true. But if it's not true, what's the benefit of it, you know?
Well, with Twitter, there's a lot of benefit. People just start spouting off random stuff just for likes and replies to feel good. But back in the day, like, what was and I guess getting on the news with hoaxes, but like crop circles and stuff. I think I would have thrived in the crop circle era, like making my own, being the big hoax. Except then it becomes kind of property damage, I think, because you're destroying a lot of crop for someone that needs that for income. So hopefully my dumb brain would have realized that that's not the smartest idea in the world. But
I'm trying to find, there's this lady who, her name's Baba Vanga. I was getting the name incorrect. I was trying to type it in, but she has a timeline of predictions that go like way out and includes things like contact with aliens. And I'm going to pull up some of these things. So this woman, she was a shaman that I think passed away in the 90s. I think that's when she died. But she had a whole list of things that are supposed to take place that may have dire consequences on like the apocalypse or something.
Starts in 2025, according to Baba Vanga.
Although that's apparently the beginning of the alarming events. So let's go through a couple of these. By 2028, a measly 3 years from now, humans will supposedly explore Venus for its energy potential despite inhospitable conditions. I don't think we've ever sent anybody to Venus, but I guess that's a small thing that if it happens, you could just say, okay, there's one thing down. 2033, apparently we're expected to see drastic sea level rises from melting polar ice caps. In 2076, there will be a global spread of communism. And in the faraway 2130, that is when humans will supposedly come in contact with extraterrestrial beings at that point. Well, here's my only thing with that. Why is it taking so long? Why can't we come in contact with aliens now?
Because the aliens don't want to make contact with us. She also predicts that 1,000 years from now we'll be in a war with Mars.
Yeah, 3005. But so assuming, I guess, that Mars is populated by then, why are we getting pissed off at people who live on Mars? What could you be so angry about that you're going to get into an interplanetary debacle with the red planet?
Maybe they shot first. Think about that.
And then to go even further,
how did this person even rise? Like, what is?
So I believe the reason that this woman is even known, I think she had a string of predictions. And again, I wasn't around for whenever she probably made them. But apparently she had a string of predictions that came true at one point. And I'm trying to find a list of things that happened. Here we go. So skepticism around some of her foreign predictions. Apparently, she predicted the death of Princess Diana, the 9/11 attacks, but it's also apparently not like there's parts of the prediction that aren't true or something like that. So I don't know. It's probably not worth, worrying about, obviously. And again, if you are somebody who thinks that, coming into contact with aliens would be a bad thing, you're probably not going to be alive to see it. Was it 2130? So unless you're not born yet, which if you are, you're not listening to this. At least you're not listening to it now. Maybe you find this podcast deep into the ether 15 to 20 years from now on, I don't know, a rogue website called Podcasts Are Us, thearchive.com/.org. I don't know.
Are you going with a little Baba Vanga prediction right there?
Maybe you find this and people, maybe for historical research, people will reference this podcast and be like, these two idiots with their little brown background and their little finger at the top and their show called Out of Touch, where you're jokingly talking about these things that may or may not happen. And look what happens. It's contact with the aliens, I guess.
This is some of the stuff that are attributed to her.
So what else are you seeing then? What are some of the things that she apparently got correct? Because I'm struggling to get exact things, which makes me wonder, like, what's the point of all of this?
So it's her followers that say she could do all of this. So it's not written anywhere. She didn't write a book that says World War II is going to happen, but apparently her followers believe that she predicted that. The breakup of the Soviet Union, Czechoslovakia, and Yugoslavia, the date of her own death, Stalin's death, Boris III's death, sinking.
Anybody can predict their own death. If you're going to say I'm going to die on whatever, just give yourself a freaking shot on whatever date that you say. 100%. And that's it.
Yeah, but I think she was blind, so
yeah, she had a hard time about her being in a dust storm, or her daughter was blinded early on from being in a dust storm. Man.
But she's predicted a Russian submarine called the Kursk to sink. I don't know.
Apparently, she predicted in the election of an African American as the 44th president of the United States, obviously being Barack Obama.
Yeah,
I don't know how big of a. Why would? I don't know. Here's the thing, Mitchell. I think the only reason I'm even going down this path today, that we've even gone down this weird wormhole of crap on this episode of Out of Touch, is because we both had long days, and I came in here. Actually, I have a list of things we could have gotten into, and some of the things we did. I just didn't know that they were going to take us down this path. But sometimes when you've been thinking all day, you haven't given your brain a break, like I've I guess dealt with today.
1000%.
Just go down the wormholes of life, and I'll probably look back on this episode and be like, "What in the hell were we talking about?"
I started this episode saying I was finally back to floating. I'm at the bottom.
It's my fault that you're not. Now you're back under the water. I'm
bottom of the sea right now.
You're going to be going to Laura after you record this, talking about the rise of, I don't know, whatever alien species we come in contact with.
I gotta go wash my
Baba
face.
Vanga.
Yeah, I gotta go wash my face. Get ready for bed. That's too funny.
I'm sure Dustin's glad he's not doing this. He's probably getting. I don't know. I know he doesn't watch all of the episodes whenever he's not on, but
he's probably getting worked to the bone. It's college football season.
That's right. And let's finish here these last 5 to 10 minutes with a little get out of the weeds for a little bit, and just, I guess, maybe we don't need to talk, a ton of football necessarily, but I'm just ready in general for sports to be back. I remember back when we were recording some episodes in the spring, and I was ready for sports to be done, ready to have a break from the extra things I get from work, and that was great. I went on some vacations. It was some good stuff. But I'm ready to have something to cheer about again. I haven't had fun watching the teams that I enjoy in, I guess, what was it, since March? And that, I mean, I guess you got to experience the joys a little longer because you're a diehard Pacers fan. I'm a casual Pacers fan who enjoyed watching them make a run, but I can't sit there and say that I was super invested and emotionally attached to what happened in the Pacers playoff run. But
I was kind of in the same boat. When they went to Bally Sports, I stopped watching them. So I was probably a little more invested than you were, but I'm not a diehard like Dustin. I enjoyed watching Indiana basketball for the most part this year. Now they do some things that annoy the crap out of me, but they were at least winning sometimes. Indiana football has been the pit of despair for years, and we finally have people that think we're going to win 7-8 games. And then I've got I grew up a big Miami Hurricanes fan. That's where I wanted to play. And they've been terrible. Had no idea that it didn't happen like this all the time when I was an 8-year-old or I guess 9-year-old, and I watched the greatest football team ever assembled in the 2001-2002 Hurricanes that had 35 first-round draft picks on the team. That's the last time. 2001 and 2002 is the last time that I've been happy. Indiana went to the Final Four, national championship game, lost to Maryland.
See, I was only 5 years old, maybe not even 4 years old. So I have zero recollection of that.
I was just starting to really understand what was happening. I think I was 9 or 10. But I went on a stretch where Miami won the national championship in 2001, 2002. Indiana went to the national championship. And then Miami went back to the national championship the next year. I lost in those like 2.5 years. The teams I cared about, I lost like 11 total times, including basketball games. Like we just didn't lose. Miami.
Those early 2000s spoiled you.
Yes, I thought it was going to be easy like that. And then the worst, the source of my Ohio State hatred and the worst pass interference call in the history of time in the national championship, Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. Ohio State receiver jumps up, hits him in the face. He doesn't catch it. 2 Miami guys waiting for him. They don't even touch him. Miami celebrates, and then they decide to throw a flag 4 minutes later. It cursed me forever.
Oh,
Cursed me forever. Willis McGahee blows his knee out. That was Maurice Claret. Do you remember that name?
Yeah, Maurice. So it's funny. And again, another Theo Vaughn reference. He's been on Theo's podcast a couple of times. I've heard some of his story. He had a rough upbringing.
He went through it. He was a superstar at Ohio State, then just like splashed, boiled, burned, went down, had like 100 guns in his car when he got arrested and was doing all kinds of things he shouldn't have been doing. I'm pretty sure he's totally turned everything around, and he leads a bunch of kids and like a leadership. That's his whole deal now, which is pretty cool. But
yeah, so
he had a million.
I don't know if he still does this, but he had his own pod called, I think it was Business and Biceps, with like 2 other people.
That's kind of
funny. It seems like such an alpha name for a podcast, too, right? Business and Biceps. If we made a show called Business and Biceps, we'd have 0 viewers. 0. We'd have negative viewers.
I would unsubscribe myself. Business, Biceps, and Bros. They probably say bro a lot on that.
Business, Biceps, Bros, and Brewskis.
Love it. Love it. That's the 4 pillars of alpha male.
I got my first dislike on the other show that I do today. I don't know if it was just for fun, but I'm looking at it right now, and I'm like, what'd I say, man? What'd I do to make you mad?
And how many likes? You probably got like 10?
8, I think.
Yeah. So those 10 people, you didn't think once, like, nice. I wonder what I said that they really liked. Isn't that?
I'd like to think it was somebody. Isn't it funny though? We talked about that before too. Like it's so easy to dwell, and I think what it is, at least the way I think of it as, it's people. I assume the people who like it are people who are doing it like out of pity, and that the person who disliked it are just doing it because of like, oh, screw this guy, boink.
Yeah, right.
Oh man,
that's kind of funny about that. There's just someone out there that just has this vendetta against you and just wants to dislike your podcast. That's kind of a funny thought.
Maybe it's not that. Maybe it's somebody who is a friend of mine that's like, you know what? Let's just make him think a little. Let's just make that.
Yeah, he did it.
And if they're listening to this too, they're gonna be like, "Ha, gotcha."
Yeah, mission accomplished. He's gonna start disliking every week.
I don't really think I let it get to me, but it is, I think we're all just self-conscious human beings. We're all insecure and we all think that we're the worst deep down.
Oh yeah. The people that come off the most secure typically are the least secure.
Yeah.
So
That's a good point.
we're all going through stuff, man. We're sinking. We're worried about aliens. We're worried about AI. We're worried about how we're going to put food on the table. We got all kinds of worries.
Well, we'll go ahead and put a bow on today's episode and call it. I got to go cut grass still, man. And that's kind of a good stress relief. I'm not looking forward to starting it, but once I get rolling, I'll be feeling good. Get some of those endorphins rolling.
Frustrating. Putting the gas in, getting the mower started, knowing you still have so much yard to cut. That first minute and a half of mowing the grass is brutal. But then
I think the weeds piss me off more than anything. This time of year, you can trim your weeds all you want. If you don't pull them, they're going to say, screw you. We're going to be back in a couple of days, man. You better sit tight because we ain't going nowhere.
Bigger and badder, too.
Yes.
Bigger.
Some of them are even purple. It looks like if you just inject it into your veins, it's just going to kill you right then and there.
Yeah,
I'm sick of them, man.
Do that. They're like, yeah. I dare you. I dare you to touch me. We've got these
the vines that sometimes grow. They're just trying to choke out all your plants. They're like, come on, man. Let's get. They're like wanting to wrestle. It's just
we've got these weeds that have really thick stems. They just stick straight up, and they're prickly, and they're impossible to pull out of the ground. And they grow to like 8 feet tall, so they're sticking through all my bushes. So I got.
It just makes you wonder. It's like we didn't plant that. Who put that there? Like it just appeared. And honestly, some of them are pretty colorful and they have some like pretty elaborate designs. But it makes you wonder. It's like why? How did you end up here? Nobody wants you here, but yet you look like you, for some reason, should have a purpose at the same time.
It's the bees, man. The bees. The bees are good and the bees are bad. The bees pollinate, but they bring the pollen from other plants. Sometimes some seeds.
Can I tell you a wasp tried to build a nest in my shed, and I was going to get my lawnmower one day, and I opened unlocked the lock of the shed, opened the door, and you would have thought that I'd opened like the shower curtain on somebody who was butt ass naked. That wasp, it was maybe 2 minutes into doing his thing, getting the nest ready, and I stared him down. And he wouldn't move. I went and grabbed the hose and sprayed that SOB, and he was gone. I don't know if he died or what he did, but I know his nest that he was building that had a couple little holes. They were gone, and I can't imagine if I would have opened that door and it had been complete. I would have shat my pants. I guess I'll just be blunt about it. That's what I'd have done.
Those things are scary. He's dangling all over the place. I don't like wasps at all, but bees, I don't really freak out, but wasps, they always come with bad intentions, and they build those nests.
They want to hurt you. They want to hurt you.
Yeah. Well, good luck. Go mow that grass.
Go spend time with your family. Go enjoy your evening. Sorry to put your head back underwater for a few minutes.
Yeah, I'll text you when I'm back floating. Maybe a couple minutes.
Well, hopefully looking forward to doing the Mitchell Page guest host episode next week. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll start planning.
Right. That's right. That's gonna wrap it up for us then. Thanks for checking out this totally nonsensical episode of Out of Touch.
Yes.
And we'll be back for plenty more of that. Maybe more organized nonsense in the future. But enjoy the rest of your week, and we will talk to you again next time.